Does it make sense to anybody that an inquiry into the banking culture was dropped? Now, this inquiry was shelved last month. The questions over that decision will not go away. Today on the Daily Politics show, the Labour MP John Mann, who sits on the Treasury Select Committee, accused the government of interfering in the decision. The inquiry is going to look into the culture, pay and behaviour of staff in banking. Mr Mann also said it was a bit Weasley of George Osborne to claim he had no prior knowledge of the decision to drop the inquiry. And just to recap, they dropped the inquiry between Christmas and New Year when you were all at home eating too many mince pies and drinking too much sherry. Jonathan Davis is a financial advisor in Hertfordshire and owns Jonathan Davis Wealth Management. Jonathan, good afternoon to you.
Hi, Roberto.
Jonathan, are you disappointed or surprised that this inquiry was dropped over the Christmas period?
I am only marginally surprised. I'm absolutely fuming that it's been dropped because we're talking about investigations into the culture of banking, the remuneration structure of banking, the rewarding of wrongdoing, of literally corrupt practices, which we know have been going on for many, many years. This was apparently the first opportunity to actually conclude as to what's causing it, as if we didn't know. And now the bankers have, yet again, an absolute confirmation from the powers that be that they can do what they want and they'll get away with it.
Is this? I mean, we think back to the start of this current recession, 2008, where the banking industry took us to the brink of disaster. And this inquiry is supposed to look at, the culture, the pay, the behaviour, the whole behind the scenes. What happened? What were they doing? Then all of a sudden, over Christmas, Jonathan, it suddenly dropped, and no one's allowed to ask any questions.
Well, exactly, and I'm agreeing with the point that you're inferring, that it was quietly dropped while everyone was watching James Bond or whatever. Well, it's what governments do. And I want to make the point whether it would be a Labour government, because remember, they're the ones who bailed out their banks in 2010, or a Tory government. They all do the same thing. They all support the bankers, which is absolutely outrageous. It helps the politicians in the short term because the bankers arrange all the loans that the politicians can take in order to essentially buy our votes and pretend that all is well. Remember that this government is still borrowing, £80 billion a year to pretend that all is well.
Jonathan, six weeks ago,
the bankers.
6 weeks ago, we had the autumn statement. George Osborne said, "Don't worry, everything's good. By the way, I found £27 billion spare pocket money. Don't worry." Yesterday, saying, 2016 is going to be very bad.
Well, isn't that funny? I've been on your show, particularly over the last year, saying that all is not well, and things are going to get more and more difficult as we go forward. These things take a bit of time to come into the open air. But the fact is, in 2014, the UK had just over 3% growth. In 2015, the UK had just over 2% growth. And I've been saying publicly for the last few months that 2016, we're likely to see a continuing downtrend in economic growth, such that growth may well be under 1%, and it might actually be a recession this year, which means the economy goes backwards. And the major point that your listeners need to get with regards to how this is going to affect them is, for the last 40 years, when we've had a recession, the one thing that politicians and bankers have done is slash the interest rate. Do you know what? They cannot do that because it's already practically rock bottom. And that's why, unfortunately, it appears to me that the next recession could actually turn into a huge depression. And I do not say that lightly.